Alrighty, now to start off the show, I'm joined once again by one of my best good friends, William McDonald. That's just not something you find around the corner now. So, William, how you doing? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm about the same shit, different day.
Yeah.
And so, Sonic the Hedgehog got turned into a movie. They it's like they read the mind of your wet dream there. So, you want to tell us exactly what this movie's about, or?
Okay, first of all, no. And this movie was great. I gotta say, for a movie that started off with such low expectations, they managed to go above and beyond. Right now on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score is around a 64, but the audience score is like in the 90s, and that's kind of unheard of.
So it's basically just like it's, from what I understand, it's kind of just like a straight run-of-the-mill crossover. Like, Sonic has to get his rings back or something, and
something like that. Yeah.
And then he's of course chased around by the evil Dr. Robotnik. So it's not something that
Yeah, well, I mean, you gotta realize, even in the game, the origin or plot of Sonic has always been kind of vague. It's never been something that's been set in stone. There are multiple stories, multiple storylines.
Which they do pick one in this film.
Yes, they do kind of have their own rendition of the whole thing. It's a whole new origin story. It's a whole new take on the character. But a lot of the things are the same. Sonic, he's fast. There's a bad guy, Dr. Robotnik. Sonic has rings.
He's kind of full of himself.
Yeah, exactly. But that's Sonic, he's kind of a little cocky, arrogant little guy, but at the same time, he's got a heart, and you could tell. I think Ben Schwartz, right?
Yeah, Ben Schwartz is the voice.
He did an amazing job at capturing Sonic. He did so good. Like, his range of emotion was all there, and he really felt like a fleshed out character. And I gotta say, props to him for bringing Sonic to life.
Yeah, one of the things I love is that this movie really asks the existential question of what it means to be a blue hedgehog named literally Sonic,
yeah.
who can outrun anything, except the only thing he can't outrun is his loneliness.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, this movie's not that deep, but that comparison is kind of true out of my sarcastic remarks.
I mean, that was part of the movie, spoiler alert, but, he felt lonely, so he eventually found his way into interacting with humans, so...
I mean, honestly, that's not too much of a spoiler, because that's kind of, touched upon in the trailer anyway.
Yeah, well,
so
true, but, I don't know.
Yeah, but no.
Obvious spoiler is obvious, anyway.
So, I guess, Ben Schwartz, and again, he was one of the only things that I felt like this movie had going for it, before I watched this film.
Mm-hmm.
And when we previewed the film, of course, I was a bit wary about him. And now, when it comes to, the actual realization of the character Sonic himself, character-wise, I thought they did a good job with him. They captured, like I said, I feel weird saying this about a video game character, but his essence, of course. But there were times where I did feel like he was, a bit, overly arrogant to a point where it just got annoying. But at the same time, that's the character, too.
Yeah, that is part of the character.
So I don't think that's so much on the part of the filmmakers themselves.
No, I don't think so either. And honestly, like I said, I think he really did do a phenomenal job of capturing the character.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't think I've seen a Sonic actor this good since the times of Jason Griffith, who was the voice around the times of Sonic and the Secret Ring, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Unleashed, even Brawl when that was around. Super Smash Bros.
Oh, that was him? Really?
Yeah.
You're too slow.
Oh, come on. But still, I think the voice in himself, Jason Griffith, I think, as far as the video games go, was the best voice actor for Sonic. Now we got Roger Craig Smith, and he's in the Sonic Boom series. I don't really like his kind of rendition right now, but again, I feel like that might be part of the lazy writing on Sega's part.
Yeah.
They haven't been very consistent.
I mean, could it also be his vocal delivery too, you think? Or do you think it's just what he's given to work with?
Yeah, I think it's more of what he's given to work with, and I think that's more of the studio's fault than his, but you know what? He might be alright, I guess. But
no, Ben Schwartz is by far the best.
Yeah, Ben Schwartz, I have to say, is the best since Jason Griffith. So
yeah. So I said, even though there were times where I felt like Sonic could get annoying, I think Ben Schwartz did what he could. He did the best that he could. He did the most that he could. So honestly, props to him for that. Because
definitely.
I think that something like this, where I think there's such a big potential to just for it to fall completely flat on its face. It's a video game adaptation. It's a voiceover performance for a video game adaptation. That could easily just be another paycheck and come off that way.
Let me just say this: if you're a Sonic fan and you're a diehard Sonic fan, see this movie.
You are going to like this movie.
You're not going to be disappointed.
You're definitely. And I noticed just all the hardcore fans that were in the theater with me, because like there are multiple points throughout the film where people were like laughing and like cheering and whatnot. The crowd was roaring throughout, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this audience is really enthusiastic. They're really loud. But then I realized that it wasn't the kids sitting throughout the theater.
Yeah,
that was the loudest.
Was the adults, like the teens. It was. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was the adults. It was the teens. It was a 23-year-old man sitting right next to me in the theater, just laughing.
You're gonna have to blur out that finger.
Yeah, I think I'll keep it in there. I'll keep it in there. But no, like building on his point, like if you are a diehard Sonic fan, this movie does the justice or the service that
the people that grew up with the character really felt it the most. I would say.
If this movie isn't gonna win like any new converts, honestly. But here's the thing: it doesn't need to. It set out to just please hardcore Sonic fans, and that's exactly what it did. The movie is a lot of fun. It's very, very funny.
Yes.
And in terms of how the story moves along, even though the plot, like I can't say it goes, into like any unpredictable directions. Like the more I think about it, it's very simple. It's very straightforward.
It's very straightforward.
Very predictable. And there's some points where I felt like it's kind of dumb if I'm being honest. But again, this is a Sonic movie. This is a video game adaptation.
And for the the fact that it is a video game adaptation, we're on a hot streak right now.
Yeah.
We got Detective Pikachu. Yep. Did really good. I can't speak right now.
Yeah.
And now we got Sonic. I mean, next up is Mortal Kombat, and now I think the hype for that is going to be even higher.
Did they actually they confirm that Mortal Kombat's getting a movie?
Well, I think it's still in the rumor mill, but I have heard that there's talks of a Mortal Kombat movie.
That'd be interesting. So, do you think they would rip out someone's spine like on?
They said they're confirming fatalities. So.
All right, good. Well, and you can't have a Mortal Kombat movie without, like, fatalities. It's like having a Mario movie without Goombas. It doesn't make any sense.
If the movie's not rated R, it's gonna flop. I'm just saying that right now.
Yeah.
But
no, I liked how the movie was, like, fast paced too. Because, like, I feel like and it's suitable for it to be this way. But, like, again, as much as I felt like, okay, how this story moves, I've seen over and over again. There are certain points where it felt cheesy. At least it was fast. At least it was fun.
Yeah.
It kept itself moving along. I can't say it really dragged at any point.
Oh no, definitely. And I will say this too about the movie. Any like slightly cringy parts it might have had, I felt like were more forgivable than the parts that maybe Detective Pikachu might have had.
Yeah.
Whereas Detective Pikachu, I felt like flowed a lot better. The parts where you got like a cringy part, it hit bad.
Yeah, like the cheesy parts, I'm like, wow, I'm really happy I'm not lactose intolerant because I'd be on my way to the hospital right now. But in terms of, all right, so overall, would you say Sonic the Hedgehog's better or Detective Pikachu's better?
It's a tough call.
Because like those are both franchises that are very near and dear to your heart, and honestly, I only watched them as a moviegoer.
I would have to say those are probably two of my favorites, and I'd have to say Sonic kind of takes the cake.
You think so?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I loved Detective Pikachu. I loved it. But in terms of how they were true to the character and the world of the character and whatnot, I think Sonic kind of took the advantage there.
It's funny. I'm not really sure which one I like better because there are certain things about each film that I feel like kind of outdo each other. Like, okay, in terms of performances and I guess character, then I think Sonic the Hedgehog takes it.
Yes.
But in terms of plot, Detective Pikachu.
Yes.
By far.
I agree.
And in terms of visuals, like, yeah, I think they did a good job modeling Sonic. Mm-hmm. Outside of him, there's nothing really too visually interesting to look at. Whereas in Detective Pikachu...
Yeah, you had a whole world of, like, Pokemon.
And I was worried. When I first heard about that film coming out, or when that was in development, I'm like, oh, man, this is going to look really stupid. This is going to be like a failed Roger Rabbit. But no, the way they integrated the CGI Pokemon into the world that they already made... I thought that was very, very well done. I did not see that coming.
It was excellent, and I'm surprised it didn't win anything for like visuals.
Yeah, it wasn't even nominated. I was very surprised. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. I remember when I did my little rant on the Academy Awards and the nominations, when they released the shortlist, not even the nominations, the shortlist, like the top 10 films for their consideration for best visual effects.
Yes.
Detective Pikachu wasn't on there, but Cats was. That doesn't make any sense.
You get this shit?
Yeah, I know. Like it's so
that's ridiculous.
It's so stupid.
Oh my gosh.
But no, honestly, in terms of which one I liked better, I honestly don't know. Yeah. There are different things that each movie had going for it.
I will have to agree with that. I definitely think they both do well within their own ranks. It's just I think for the plot reasons, or not for the plot reasons, performance reasons, Sonic just has that edge.
Yeah, because like here's the thing, like Ryan Reynolds was like one of the only things that Detective Pikachu had going for at least going into this.
Yeah,
and like he stole the show, he led the show as he should have.
He did.
But like in terms of like other performances, like there aren't really too many others that stand out, even in terms of character. No. Like the only other character that stood out to me in Detective Pikachu, other than Pikachu, was Psyduck, who was hilarious. He was funny.
I don't know. I think the actor that played Tim did a really good job, but the Psyduck's owner there.
Yikes! Aggravating.
That's the kind of overacting that only works on Broadway.
Yeah.
Because it's a different medium. Like when you're on a stage, you have to kind of express yourself broadly because you're got a whole audience of people that can't really see you.
Mm-hmm.
But. No,
yeah,
not in cinema.
She was aggravating. If they didn't end up, did they end up together in Detective Pikachu? I don't even know if they did.
No, they didn't.
And that's fine.
With the CB there.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think the other biggest thing that Sonic the Hedgehog has going for it is Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik.
Yes.
He is the MVP of this film. He was absolutely fantastic.
I have to say one thing. Even though we had plenty of trailers and things showcasing some of the jokes and stuff, they weren't, done out by the time we got to the movie. They were funny every time.
Yep.
They hit like they needed to. And I'm very glad they did. Because sometimes you see a trailer so many times that when you get to the movie, you're like, all right, that was expected. But just the delivery was different than how they showed in the trailer. So the jokes still hit. And when they hit, they were funny. They weren't just like, they were like, Yeah,
like Jim Carrey, and again, he's obviously known for being like this very zany, over the top performer. But again, for whatever reason, it just didn't feel like he was doing the same thing. It didn't feel like he was, just playing the Grinch again. And it's still different territory from films such as like the Truman Show or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. If you ever get around to checking out either of those films, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind would have been great to watch on Valentine's Day, but it's a little too late for that now. So
would it? Just curious.
Depends on what you're in the mood for. But no, Jim Carrey, in my opinion, is absolutely the best part of this movie. And again, like I said, Ben Schwartz did very, very well, but Jim Carrey absolutely takes the cake. Honestly, I feel like if Jim Carrey failed, then the entire movie would have failed, honestly. Because I don't know if Ben Schwartz was strong enough.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like it's part of their dynamic, too. Mm-hmm. Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey kind of...
They fed off each other.
Yeah, they fed off of each other really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I even saw, in a behind-the-scenes type thing, they would kind of go to each other and be like, oh, what do you think about this joke? And they would kind of run it by each other and ad-lib a little bit. And the directors would go with it. And
that's not something, again, you would expect. That's not the kind of effort, at least I would expect, to go into a video game adaptation. So it's funny, follow the actor's instincts. So it shows that at least they put a lot more attention, that they at least cared about making a decent movie.
Yes.
And, here's the thing. So, I remember one of the things that I thought that when this movie was first, talked about being made, it was just like, okay, there's just another, corporate shell out. They're just doing this to make money. And again, the vast majority of films, unfortunately, are just made to make money. Let's be real. But at the same time,
it shouldn't be. But that's a rant for another day.
Yeah, that's a rant for another day. But what what separates movies from each other, at least in that department, is how well do they hide the fact that they're just being made to be for money. And honestly, I think with this one, it hit the facts pretty well.
Yeah.
It didn't. So, and again, as a Sonic fan, do you feel like the movie justified its creation? Do you feel like it justified it?
I think so. I definitely think it did a good job at solidifying its existence. It definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out here.
It was good. The movie was good. The movie was good. One thing that kind of bothered me though about this one was kind of the shameless product placement that we kind of saw.
Yeah, it wasn't even slipped in. It was kind of obviously weird. I don't know.
So it's the Olive Garden thing.
Yeah, they made a running gag out of Olive Garden, and
I'm like, okay, how else are you gonna get anyone to fund a movie about Sonic the Hedgehog? You kiss Olive Garden's ass. And then, okay, we're only gonna do this for you if you say our company's name 2 or 3 times throughout the 90 minute film.
Because when you're there, you're family, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
And how about the cool, refreshing taste of a Bud Light? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Imagine that being in a PG movie. And I think at least for me, like, I remember, of course, you know, when the initial trailer got so much backlash for the original design, they pushed the filming back. They pushed it back to Valentine's Day, and I've been thinking to myself, that's kind of a stupid move. No one's going to want to see a Sonic the Hedgehog movie on Valentine's Day. They're going to want to see romance movies or horror movies with their significant others. But
and then you forget, most of us are single.
Exactly. That was going to be my next point. The audience that this movie was trying to target, they're not going to have dates on Valentine's Day.
And if they did, they're damn lucky.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, exactly. And
keep her and treasure her forever.
Then they're anomalies. They're anomalies. So, like, they knew exactly what they were doing when they decided to re-release or push the release back to February 14th. So now, in terms of, again, just stamping a grade on this movie, I always do like a 1 to 100. Given all the factors that have gone into this is better than expected. It was a lot of fun. Voice performances were great, but there were certain cheesy moments and like stupid things about the plot or how certain things ended off that like still stuck with me. At the same time, I still had an overall like good feeling coming out of this movie.
Yes,
so,
me too.
I'm factoring in everything. I'm going to give it a 77, which honestly is much higher than I thought I would have given it.
Yeah, no, I'm actually kind of surprised that you said that too. I'm thinking somewhere around 79, 81 range. I would have to say maybe like an 80.
80?
But yeah, because they did really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe this is, and again, maybe this is the start of like, you know, video game adaptations, like, you know, getting some more prestige. Because look at like all the comic book movies that are coming out now. I'm sure there was a time back then where like, you know, comic book movies were kind of looked down upon because they had a more cheesy nature to it. And
again, look at Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3. Ironically, which came after Spider-Man's 1 and 2, which actually helped, you know, rebirth the comic book film.
Shots fired. Anyway.
Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe we're in the beginning of like a kind of quote-unquote renaissance. I don't know how to use a less pretentious word.
And again, I think part of that goes back to what I was saying in the last episode with them listening to the fans and going back and redesigning Sonic. Because if that didn't happen, I don't think it would have had as much feedback, if any feedback at all, you know?
Yeah, because you would think that, like, you know...
Positive feedback, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because you would think that, okay, like, you know, they have to go back and, you know, redesign this. That isn't a good sign. And honestly, usually that wouldn't be a good sign. But at the same time... $68 million later at the box office, I think it paid off.
I think so too. So thank God for Tyson Hesse. He was the guy who did the art for Sonic Mania.
Okay.
And they brought him on to help redesign the character himself. So I couldn't think of his name last time, but now I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tyson Hesse. Thank God.
So I think this just goes to show, like, when you're leading anything, where it's, you know, like a creative production like this one, you have to know what you don't know. Yeah. And obviously, with the first design, they didn't know what they were doing.
So
you bring on someone that you do know, and they fix the problem.
They need to have someone who has an appreciation for the source material. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that, it's not going to go well. So
yeah.
Good thing they had that.
So yeah, this is much better than expected. So William, I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. I'm glad you came on, and I don't know who else I would have seen this movie with other than you. If I'm not glad, it's bad enough I saw Cats by myself just to review it for the show. If I saw this one by myself, would have felt a little worse about myself. Not gonna lie.
You've been in the theater like, what is happening?
Like everyone, shut up! So William, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. And if I could add one more thing,
sure.
Wait till the end of the movie.
Yes, there are post-credit scenes.
There's two. Wait. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what they are. Just trust me. You want to see this.
Yes, it was surprisingly good stuff. It was stuff that I didn't see coming.
Not at all.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good time.
Definitely.